Welcome to the most must-watch podcast in YouTube history. Welcome to BS Best Says. Hello, Wesocracy. My name is Wes. As you see here, this is the first episode of BS Best Says, and I am going to cover a lot of news. I'm going to cover a lot of life tips. We're going to cover a lot of different things in this podcast. This first episode is going to be pretty short. It isn't going to be the full length of a normal episode because it's just me on my own. As some of you know from past videos, Grim Peddler and I were originally going to start this, but unfortunately he has had fun complications that have caused me to go on my own, bring it to the channel. If he wants to join in later, that's still pretty okay with me. Let's just get in with the first topic, and as I will tell you, I get a lot of topics from Reddit. I put them on index cards, and then one by one I select from a group of 5 as I draw them out throughout the table. So you hear something about like this, you hear something like this, and it's me grabbing the next index card. And this one is a life pro tip. When you go for a walk every day, as you should, of course, you should always go for a walk, consider taking an empty grocery bag with you so you can pick up any trash you may see along the way. You know, everywhere you go nowadays, people are littering left and right. It's just a mess. So bring a grocery bag with you, pick stuff up, and in a couple weeks, you're going to be super surprised at how much cleaner it is out in the world. Next up, we're going to cover some science. U.S. cigarette smoking rate reaches a new low. Cigarette use among American adults is at the lowest it has been since the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, started collecting on the issue in 1965. Down to 14% compared to the over 40% it was in the mid-1960s. Beyond the 14% of Americans smoking cigarettes, 3.8% are smoking cigars, 2.8% e-cigarettes and vape, 2.1, not 21, that would be redundant, smokeless tobacco, and 1% smoke pipes. 24.8% of those smokers are 48.8% of all of that were more likely to be smoking than females, 14.2%. Highest age group is 25 to 44. Those 65 and older smoke the least. I would think that makes a lot of sense once you're on your end stage. Not necessarily to say you're about to die, but to say you're getting up there in the age and you're retiring. I don't think you're really worried about smoking as much as you were when you're not as old. Southerners and Midwesterners smoked more than North, East, and the West, and this is like 20% of everyone in that place would smoke. Next up, I want to provide you that online donations of over 100,000 are streaming in for a Maywood, California high school music teacher who was arrested after a video went viral showing him punching a 14-year-old student in the face after the boy used a racial epithet and threw a basketball at him. Now, this is an interesting topic for me considering I'm not really sure how I feel about this. On one end, did the boy do something wrong? Yes, he did. What he did was very wrong, but he's also only 14 years old, and I don't feel like a teacher in that position, regardless of what you're teaching music, teaching gym, teaching math, English, whatever, should lay their hands on a student. I feel like the issue here mostly goes to the fact that you can't punish kids in a meaningful way, and that's not to say, oh, we should do corporal punishment, we should do this, we should do that. Whatever's going on right now in culture has allowed stuff like this to happen, and whether it's raising more awareness to them when they're younger or whatever, I don't feel like the boy was not in the right, but I don't feel like the teacher was in the right either. Words and a basketball being thrown at you, which is weird. I don't understand why the boy would have a basketball unless he's like on the basketball team or came right from the gym. That could have been a thing that happened, but I'm not really sure how that part of the story really works. But if you're an adult teacher, you should be able to catch that ball, or at most it hits you. Okay. Let's go worst case scenario. It hits you in the head, they're calling you whatever they're calling you. I don't feel like that is enough to justify punching a 14-year-old boy in the face. They should definitely be getting in a lot of trouble, but I don't feel like you can punish them with physical violence on your end. It just doesn't make sense to me. So the fact that he got over $100,000 in donations is really shocking. I understand he was arrested, and understandably so. Like, if you just look at it out of context, he assaulted a 14-year-old boy, but I just don't know. How do you guys feel about this? Do you feel like the teacher was in the right, or do you feel like they should have had another solution? The teacher should have handled it in a different way. The school system should have handled it better in the guidelines they go by as a school. Or what? I'd really like to know how you feel about that. We're going to move on to the next life pro tip. Being lazy for a long time and now you want to get fit. Don't do an intense workout on your first day back at the gym. I have personal experience with this. When it comes, not at going to a gym, but when it comes to, I'd like to lose the weight I've been gaining the past 2 years. You don't want to go 120% on the day one, because you're going to be unmotivated, you're going to be sore, you're going to be done. You're just going to be done. You want to start out really slow, and then focus on what your goals are, and super slowly increase it within a very reasonable portion. That way, you're not getting in shape super quickly, but this is something you're going to stick with, and you're actually going to develop better as you grow older. You're going to actually get fitter within time, because getting in shape, I mean, you can get in reasonable shape in a few months, but if you really want to stay on top of things, because the thing people overlook, in my opinion, is they think, let me get in shape, now I can eat however I want, I can stop doing it, but you're just going to gain the weight back. That's all that's going to happen. So what you want to do, you want to find the middle point. You don't have to work out for 3 hours a day to stay in shape, but at the same time, you don't need to eat all the time and not exercise at all. It's a balance. Diet's a very important part, but exercise is also an extremely important part, especially for me, because I don't eat a lot. I drink a lot of Dr. Pepper, but I mean, people overestimate how much Dr. Pepper I drink in a day. I mean, it's rare I drink more than 4 a day, and that's still a lot. Like, I'm not saying it's not a lot, but 3 to 4 Dr. Peppers a day is not the same as a bajillion a day like some people think I drink. Next up, we're going to talk about Love in the Marriage. Married with Children is on Hulu. I'm only 20 years old, from Tennessee, but Married with Children was one of those comedies that, I could enjoy. It wasn't the worst thing out there, and I say comedy, but it's not completely a comedy. But it was an enjoyable show. I'd watch it sometimes in the AM hours when they show it, because I don't really go out of my way to watch much TV. The only thing I watch on TV is Impractical Jokers when I see it, or World's Dumbest. But these are shows I've been watching since I was a kid. But when I was a kid, I did not like Married with Children. This is something I grew to like as an adult. So I think that's pretty interesting. It's more, I guess, for me at least, it was a show I could appreciate as an adult. Because, I mean, it's definitely not for everyone. If Married with Children restarted today with the exact same lines and stuff it used back then, it would definitely get in some hot water, for sure. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next life approach tip. When going out on a date or a special dinner to a night restaurant, Study the menu online before you go. This is also something I really have a lot of experience with. I don't like picking what I want when it comes to a fast food place or anything like that. That's never been something I really enjoyed doing. I like picking something on the first go around, but then after that, I never want to pick anything ever again. And I just want to be like, okay, just give me the regular. That's all I want. That's how I've always done it. That's how I feel most comfortable doing. And so when it comes to, if going ahead, restaurants now have online menus, so you can go online, you can look at their menu, you can decide, oh, I'd like this, I'd like that. And then when you go to the restaurant, you know what you want. Simple. Amazon, beginning on Monday, is rolling out free shipping to everyone during the 2018 holiday season. Now, if you're an Amazon Prime user, you're thinking, how does this really benefit me? Well, you're already entitled to a free 2-day shipping, but beginning on the holiday season, for over 3 million items, you will have a same-day delivery during this holiday season. I think that's a pretty good thing for Amazon to do. I read that they did it because of the very good sales they've been producing. They had a very good Q3. Hopefully they continue to do well. Amazon, I know, is a business that a lot of people have taken part in. A lot of people buy stuff online from Amazon. I have not really. I've bought a few things from Amazon, like I've bought this Blue Yeti microphone and the pop filter and all that good stuff. I have the sniffles, by the way. Apparently this is a thing now that the weather's getting colder. Unfortunate. And you can probably hear the chair creak every once in a while like that. Not on purpose. That's just... I WD-40 this chair multiple times, and I swear it doesn't actually fix the issue, and I'm going to try to fix it in post, but I'm sorry. Don't stop searching for jobs once you have one. This is not something I've personally experienced, by the way. I've never had a job. You'll make more money, find an enjoyable career, and open up countless doors for yourself in the process if you just don't stop searching for jobs. Because once you stop searching for a job just because you have one, what happens when you're not happy anymore at that job? What happens if you get fired? If you decide, I'm just done with this job? You need to have a plan B. And if you keep searching for a job, you may find something you want better. You can move from one job to the next. And while you shouldn't continue to do that over and over again, it is something that will help you to not go, oh, I got fired. I don't know where to even begin looking for a new job. With the California fires spreading, take a video and or photos of your home. This will help with any insurance claims you may have. This will provide them with clear proof that this is what you had, this is what the condition everything was in. That way they don't screw you over down the road. It's a very important thing to not get screwed over, folks. They will screw you over at the drop of a dime. Just because you can get training or a degree in a field doesn't mean you can get a job doing it. Research your interests before committing to an expensive degree path. This is a thing a lot of people fail to do, and I feel like it's not so much because of how school is. School encourages you all the time to, okay, you need to figure out what you want to be. You need to figure out what you want to be. This is pounded on you in high school, and for me, my dream job has been these online things like YouTube, being a YouTube creator, being a Twitch streamer, which is more recent. Because I feel like gaming is a better place on Twitch than it is on YouTube right now. Unless you want to be the, oh, I overreact all the time, or oh, this or that. How the more popular people are. I feel like Let's Plays as a basic thing are a dying breed because streaming on Twitch is a much better form of it. And like for me in high school, that wasn't really something that people knew about. Teachers and stuff, they just kind of shrugged it off and wanted you to find something else, something with actual documented evidence. It's okay, you can make money doing this, you can make money doing that. What money can you show me that you can make with this? And it's like, well, My argument has always been, okay, let's say you want to be a doctor. You need to go to college for years and years and years studying and all that fun jazz to get the degree to hopefully begin as not as the full doctor you want to be, but you need to start somewhere, and that degree will get you in the door and help you go up the rankings. This is going to take a decade plus. But see, for like YouTube, you're not going to be a million sub channel in a day. It's going to take you years, and that's something a lot of people overlook when they're beginning YouTube. They think, oh, I'm going to make a couple videos, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be all the way at the top. I'm going to be the next PewDiePie, I'm going to be the next whoever you watch that you know that's super big. Did you know there's a lot of big channels on YouTube that you have never heard of that have dozens of millions of subs? That's how big YouTube as a platform is. And it's just people, they expect a lot for the minimal, and that's not how something like a Twitch or a YouTube works. You gotta dedicate yourself, you gotta put in the time, you gotta put in the work, you gotta get stuff out there, you gotta strive to improve. Like this first episode, I already see it's gonna go longer than I expected it to. It isn't gonna be perfect. I know there's been flaws so far, but I'm gonna take your feedback and we're gonna make the second episode better when we have a guest, which is gonna be something else, the first episode having a guest next time. When you buy a house, change out the water hoses for the washing machine because you never know when they were replaced last. And they are also one of the most common causes of catastrophic water damages in homes. This is something that isn't exactly super easy to test out, but it's definitely something that you can test out and get solved. Because when you buy a new home, obviously the first thing you don't want is to waste them money and have it be gone. This is something pretty easy to do. We just recently got a new washer and dryer like a month or so ago. I made a video on it back then. That may have been just 2-3 months ago by now, but feels like a month for me. And the water hoses, it's not too hard to change. It just takes pulling it out and doing it, which can take a little bit of time and a little bit of muscle, but it's not overly difficult. Disney's new Netflix rival will be called Disney Plus and will launch late 2019. I will go ahead and say at the beginning of this topic, I don't really think I support Disney Plus. Disney's new streaming service, Disney Plus, will be home for its past titles and original series, including new content from the Marvel and Star Wars franchises. The company will pull its content from Netflix in 2019. My big thing with more Netflix rivals is if you're someone like me who's never lived in a super wealthy household or known anybody really personally to be super wealthy, it's a case of, okay, what if we can't afford in the budget to have more than one Netflix type thing? And Netflix, for what it's worth, is the best one out there. Hulu's up there, but Netflix has a lot more better content available to it on the go. But if you wanted everything, you'd have to pay hundreds of dollars, but I just don't think that's feasible. And when it comes to Disney doing this, it's taken away from what Netflix has so it can selfishly want more money. And it's not like Disney's hurting for money. They're doing this because they want to flex. They want to be the next super big corporation. They want to keep building up. And that's understandable. But at the same time, it's just if you're someone like me, you're losing out with this. And that's not what you'd like to have happen. And the Marvel shows, I'd really like to watch the Marvel shows, but I can't justify it in anyone's budget to get Disney Plus. It's just not worth it just for the Marvel shows. Even if it has a character I really, really like a Loki or whatever. I'm not really a big Star Wars fan, but that's another discussion for another time. Let's move on to Rogue Planets wander through space without orbiting a star. And now scientists have found 2 more of these free-floating worlds. Using gravitational microlenses, scientists find planets by noting when a rogue planet interrupts a star's light from our point of view. The planet suddenly acts as a lens for the star's light, curving it as it would seem from Earth. The bigger the planet, the bigger the interruption. The planets are officially called OGLE-2017-BLG-0560 and OGLE-2012-BLG-1323. These are very odd names to me. I don't understand that. The first planet could be anywhere from the size of Jupiter to the size of 20 Jupiters, while the latter is between the size of Earth and Neptune. That is a very, very big difference. Very, very big difference, honestly. Don't fake a compliment. Find one thing you like about them and comment on that. Now listen, I know you've heard that plenty of times before, but this is the most important part for me. Can you not find anything sincerely? Don't comment then. Fake compliments are obvious. They're useless. There's no benefit to throwing someone a fake compliment. You may think you're being nice, but at the same time, you're not being honest with them, yourself. You're just trying to smooth talk them, and that's not what you want to do. You want to have sincere friendships. And if not, just don't say anything to them. You know, you're not obligated to speak to everyone you come across. And that kind of is a big issue nowadays, that people feel this obligation to let their voice be heard on every single subject, even if it's not really productive. Their opinion, while it's not necessarily good or bad, it's not productive to the overall conversation and thing going forward. Enormous water worlds appear to be common throughout the Milky Way. The planets, which are up to 50% water by mass and 2 to 3 times the size of Earth, account for nearly 1/3 of known exoplanets. Water is a key ingredient for life, and new research suggests we may find it all over the galaxy. This does not necessarily mean these are planets that we could live in, but exoplanets do represent something that has a very basic element that a lot of planets do not have, so that possibly down the road we could further research if it has other things, if it has various things, to see if life could be sustainable on these planets. And that's something we're going to see, I feel like, in the future as something pretty big that we need to get on top of. We need to find other planets we could go to, because Earth is not going to last forever. And while we're destroying it at a pretty fast rate, we definitely need a plan B. We need another planet to go to. And I don't think this is something that's going to really be an issue in my lifetime. But I think, like, hypothetically, if I ever had kids, my, like, great-grandchildren would definitely run into this issue. Maybe even sooner. And that's why, hopefully, we find alternative solutions and space will work on this. In super interesting news, Scotland will become the first country in the world to embed the teaching of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex rights in the school curriculum, in what campaigners have described as a historic moment worldwide. State schools will be required to teach, keyword required, pupils about the history of LGBTI, equalities and movements, as well as tackling homophobia and transphobia, and exploring LGBTI identity. After ministers accepted in full the recommendations of a working group led by the Time for Inclusive Education campaign, there will be no exemptions or opt-outs to the policy. I think the option being there is a very good thing. The only thing I feel will cause a bit of controversy is the required part. This is now a required part of the school's life if you're in Scotland. And if that would have happened here, it's not the same argument as, oh, religion should be required or not required to teach. It's not the same argument at all. Religion is a very heavily debated on topic on if this exists, if this doesn't exist, where's the proof, all that good jazz. But when it comes to the LG, all that, that's more of an actual real thing. This is a thing happening, developing, growing. We want them to feel open. We want them to be equal. We should want them all to be equal to us. And in my mind, they are for me, but not everyone feels that way, so that's where the issue lies. And I feel like it being a required part, I definitely, depending on the direction they take it, will direct the response it gets, in my opinion. So I really want to hopefully see how that develops in the future. Hopefully it goes well, because I think something like that could be very valuable. Next up, on Tuesday, voters in Nevada amended the Tax Act of 1955 and removed the sales and storage tax on tampons and sanitary pads. Senate Bill 415 was first approved in 2017 by the state's legislature. Oh my, that's not how you say that at all. The state's legislature, and it's now set to become law. The change was approved by 56.9% of the voters during Tuesday's midterm election. There is a few things this week that we'll be talking about the effects of the midterm election, because in my eyes, in my very limited circle, it didn't appear like it really did anything, but as I see on Reddit after exploring for a while, it really did have an effect, and something like this is very good. The taxes sounded pretty ridiculous, and this is only the 10th state to do it, I believe I read. It's only the 10th. So it's very interesting that more states have legalized marijuana compared to not taxing women for something they need. That makes no sense to me at all. I don't understand what the issue is with this. I get, let's tax people for everything they need to survive, but this is simply unnecessary. And a lot of things are unnecessary, but this is extremely more unnecessary to me. If you're doing something repetitive and boring, pretend like you're giving a tutorial and it will make it easier to continue doing. This was a live pro tip that I feel kinda iffy about. I'm not sure if that's really gonna help, but I definitely think the idea of if you're doing something repetitive, you do need to spice it up. You need to find a way, a different tactic, something else, a different way to do it. That way it's not the same repetitive, boring thing you're in. And sometimes you can't do that. But maybe if you can just try and bend it a little bit and twist it into something else, like a tutorial, you may enjoy it more. Go for a walk every day. This covers another one. You should go for a walk every day. While this sounds ineffective, it actually proves helpful to making yourself more productive and happy. And it's very effective doing so. We'll use the word lazy here, and not doing much. So that's pretty much me. I'm very, what's the word for it? I don't remember the word for it. It's where you don't do a lot of physical activity in a day. It begins with an S. Solitary, maybe? No, I don't think that's the word, but something like that. You'll know it when I say this, but that's pretty much the life I live, and that's why I enjoy the exercise bike I have now. It really helps me get in a little bit of stuff in, and I pace a lot. Like, I can't stand still. I can't sit still. That's another reason you hear the chair a little bit, because I'm just constantly moving, whether my leg or my arm, something's moving. That's just how I am. I can stay still if I have to, but it's not the preferred way for me. So it's just definitely you should really walk. You should find 30 minutes to walk. Maybe you just find a little bit of time in the morning. A little bit of time before you go to bed. Preferably in the morning. When you're going to bed, you just want to go to bed. I understand why you wouldn't want to do that. But a fresh start to the day is definitely the best time to do something like this. I'm going to get this index card that's been down here the longest. Oh boy. Edible cotton may be a massive cash food crop. On Tuesday, the U.S. Department of Agriculture gave the green light to commercialize a biotech version of the cotton plant whose seeds can be eaten. According to Texas A&M University, which developed it more than 2 decades ago, U.S. Food and Drug Administration approval is still needed, which the university said it expects within months. After that, farmers will be able to grow cotton for food as well as fiber. Would you eat cotton considering all the stuff they put on cotton? I'm not really sure about this. I don't think I would want to eat cotton at all. I do think cotton is very comfortable for clothes, depending on how you do it, but I don't feel like I would want that to be an actual edible thing. I don't see the appeal, and considering all the stuff they spray on it, I don't think that's really a good decision at all, really. Greyhound, not Grey House, Jesus, Wes. Greyhound racing is now illegal in Florida after the midterm election, which will leave a lot of good dogs in need of homes. If you are considering adopting a dog and you live in Florida, please research Greyhounds and see if they'd be right for your family. I don't really know what Greyhound dogs are. I'm not really a dog person, but I do feel like if it's important, if you do happen to live in Florida or maybe nearby, to go research and just see if you could live with a Greyhound dog. I don't know what makes them different or whatever, but I definitely feel like if it works for you, it works for you. And since a lot of these dogs, now that they can't be used for races, they don't have a lot of use for these people that only use them for races, which is pretty messed up. It really is. So yeah, do your research, see if these are dogs you want. Maybe you can go out of your way to get one. Maybe, who knows? When you're shopping for a place to live, look to the east of where you work. That way the sun will be at your back for your commute there and back in the morning and night. And I see a lot of people, when I was looking at this on Reddit, a lot of people from like Boston, this is a big issue they have. The sun's always in their eyes. It makes it harder to drive. And I definitely understand that. When I was doing driver's ed in high school, I stay inside a lot. I am outside very, very little. So when it comes to the sun being in my eyes, that's a big issue for me. I can't handle that. And even with sunglasses on, I can't handle that too well when it's directly in my face. I can't see in front of me too well. And like in driver's ed, I'd always either start turning to the left or turning to the right, and I'm not even aware I'm really doing, and it's one reason I really don't want to drive. I know this is something you could be taught and something you can do better, but it goes to my point of it's not something I'm willing to risk my life on. Plus, there's a lot of bad drivers out there, you know? A lot of bad drivers and a lot of risk to it that I just really don't want to take. The last piece of news. Voters on November 6th passed Proposal 18-1 into law, making Michigan the 10th state to legalize marijuana. Okay, apparently I had that wrong. The 10th state was for marijuana, so I'm not sure. Hopefully it's more for the other thing, or maybe they're both 10. I don't remember, apparently. Michigan, the 10th state to legalize marijuana. The initiative allows for the possession of up to 2.5 ounces or up to 10 ounces at a private residence for those 21 and older. The measure also legalizes the personal cultivation of up to 12 marijuana plants. The initiative establishes a licensed and regulated system of marijuana retail outlets which will be supplied by licensed cultivation centers. Marijuana will receive a 12% excess tax in addition to the 6% sales tax Michigan. I don't know what I was trying to say. I was trying to add S's there for whatever reason. The 6% sales tax oh my Jesus Christ. Michigan, not Michigan. Oh my, that was a mess. I have 2 topics left. We're over 30 minutes in. I am sorry, this went way longer than I thought. That'll be interesting to see how the survey does. Take photos of your parents doing things they do every day. Now, before I continue, that sounds very creepy when I read it, but the rest of it is very important to this. So yeah, that first sentence is pretty creepy. When you get older, they will bring back memories more than any post picture ever could, and I feel like this really holds true, knowing what they actually did to what you just acted like they did. You had them post this here. That's not really the same thing. And when it comes to what's going to make you happier, what's going to give you more memories, this is definitely the way to go. And I really feel like that was a good life pro tip for if your parents are still alive, and hopefully they are, otherwise, rest in peace. You definitely want to take pictures so you have memories, or just make sure you have the memories you want, because you never know when you won't have them around anymore. We're not going to end things on that sad note. One last topic. Shrek and Puss in Boots are getting rebooted, and Chris Melendry, we're going to go with that. That's definitely not right. The man behind Despicable Me is overseeing the revival. Universal Pictures has tasked Chris with finding some fresh storylines to reintroduce the lovable, I'm sure that makes Bolt very happy, the lovable ogre, and the sword-wielding feline to new generations of moviegoers. Chris wants to bring back the popular voice cast that was on the original series. I feel like bringing back the original cast is something I always approve of when it comes to a reboot, especially an animated reboot. It just helps bring back the vibes of the people from the past. They know, okay, this cast is really good. We want to watch this movie when it reboots. So you bring in some of the old viewers, and you bring in new viewers. I hope the reboot does well. Both the reboots does well. I hope Universal Pictures gets that all sorted. I hope the Despicable Me guy does a good job. I feel like we'll see. It didn't say when it was going to release, but it definitely probably will happen in the next few years. I'm not sure how long an animated movie would take, and I'm not sure how much animated movies have progressed visually since then. It'll be interesting to see, because it really hasn't been that long in my head since Shrek ended, or at least Shrek 3. That was 2007, maybe? 2010 was the last Shrek movie I seen? I'm not sure. But that's all the topics I have for today. Before we go, I just wanted to make sure you know that BS Best Says is here to stay. I want you to know that next week we're going to have a guest. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, be sure to say something in the comments. You can DM me on Twitter. You can DM me on Discord. If you don't have my Discord, I'll leave it in the description below. I'll leave a link to my server below, because all podcast guests will have to go to my server. That way we have some place for the bot, because I am mobile exclusive, if you didn't know. So me recording someone else, I'd rather not make them record it. I'd rather have a bot do it, and we're going to experiment with that. We'll see if that goes well. I'm going to have a survey in the bottom that leads you to a Google Forms thing. If you'd like, I'd appreciate if you would give me some feedback in the survey. I hope y'all have a great weekend, or rest of the weekend. It's Sunday at 12 p.m. when this releases, Central Standard Time. My name is Wes. I look forward to having our first guest on. It'll be interesting. I look forward to these guests. I don't know who I'll be able to get, but I feel like we're going to have a fun time. I'm going to interview them a little bit. We're going to talk about all these topics. It'll be more interactive. It won't just be my opinion. I'll have someone to go off of. They'll have their own opinions. We'll have a good open talk. We'll have more of an open thing. Like with the Scotland thing, that could be a very interesting thing to have someone else in for. How did they feel it's going to go and all that jazz? So I do look forward to next week. And when it comes to when to be available, make sure to just DM me. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day. And make sure your Monday isn't too awful, folks. Peace out.